flows quite
Bailie
nicely.
Nicol Jarvie. It's quite...
It's a great song.
Jolly.
Bailie Nicol Jarvie.
Bailie Nicol Jarvie.
Bailie Nicol Jarvie. Hello, I'm Jen.
My name's Rachel.
Welcome to our channel. We are Whisky Geeks.
Not whisky snobs.
So if you like all things whisky,
And you're not a snob,
subscribe! Today we are trying a wee selection of whiskies that we first got at a really cool walking tour of Leith. So you might have seen our video when we went for cocktails at the Alchemist in Edinburgh, and the continuation of that day, which we weren't able to film, so unfortunately we've got some pictures we can show you. But we weren't able to film the walking tour, but it was really good.
Highly recommend. I don't know if you can book onto that. I think Justine does maybe the odd occasional one that the general public can book onto. But it was great. So knowledgeable. So much history of whiskey.
So much history in Leith. Really, really cool. So you walk around all the old streets and see what all the old buildings were and everything.
And like so many bonded warehouses.
So many.
And so
must
many
have been
that,
so busy.
Yeah, that are like still visibly look like they were bonded warehouses as well.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's like quite a quiet area now, but it must have been like so busy and bustling.
Whistly.
And that's before we started.
So yeah, amazing, and Justine is so knowledgeable, and what she does with her tours, because we're doing a kind of history tour, then she gives us historic whiskies to try.
Which is really cool.
Very cool. And that's kind of the opposite of what, not the opposite of what we do during our tastings. We're looking for new bottles and stuff. So Justine goes to auctions and finds old bottles from like the 1960s, 70s, 80s. Very cool. And we don't know how long she'll be able to do that for. Cause other folk are now starting to do the same.
Snap up the bottles. But yeah, it was really cool even just to see the bottles, but we also got to try them. So whiskey number 1 we've got is a Bailie Nicol Jarvie blend.
So and that's quite a story, that one.
It is. Well, it's one that a lot of people ask for. And so it's kind of, a lot of people in this area know it because there is a story linked to it to do with Rob Roy, but there was a Bailie Nicol Jarvie hotel over the road in Aberfoyle, and lots of people used to come and stay there on their holidays or go to the pub there when they were on their holidays in Aberfoyle, and then they hear about this Bailie Nicol Jarvie blend and ask if it's still made. And it was made, I think, up until the 90s actually. I think this is an older bottling of it. I think this might be a 70s bottling, did she say? And so, do you know about Bailie Nicol Jarvie? No. We could start smelling first and then I'll tell you. It's quite a funny story.
So,
really lemony,
very light.
Very light, airy, ethery, bit sparkly.
It
has a mustiness to it as well.
I find some of the older bottles do have that wee hint of musk.
Yep.
That's
a musty malty. Like a wet barley grain.
It's very light, very light. It's so lemony. It's so
really
lemony.
Lemony.
That's only two things I'm kinda, and a bit of malty flavour.
Yep, it is like the inside of a Malteser. Like
Sanj.
Lemon and malt.
Dead easy drinking.
That's lovely.
Really nice. Bit of zing at the end.
So, Bailie Nicol Jarvie was a character in Sir Walter Scott's Rob Roy. Which I have read. Is very hard going. The main character of the story, whose name I forget, was travelling with the Bailie Nicol Jarvie from Glasgow, and they stayed in an inn at Aberfoyle. And then there was an altercation with some Highlanders. And the Bailie Nicol Jarvie was a kind of older man, and he was known for being probably like us, a pacifist. And when there was this altercation and swords were drawn, and he didn't have anything to defend himself with because his sword had got caught in its holster.
I think that's what it's called.
Because it had just never been drawn, so it got all rusty, so it wouldn't come out. So he grabbed a red hot poker from the fire and set fire to the Highlanders' kilt. And that then, like, defeated the Highlanders, and they were able to I'm not sure what happened after that. But yeah, it meant they defeated the Highlanders and they were safe.
Right.
But if you do go to Aberfoyle, there is a tree just opposite where the Bailie Nicol Jarvie Hotel was. It's now flats.
Oh.
There is a tree opposite that in the tree hangs a poker.
Oh, really?
And it's called the Poker Tree.
It's a good name, isn't it? Bailie Nicol Jarvis.
Yeah.
Jarvis.
Bailie Nicol Jarvie. Yeah.
So it's quite light and light like the Bailie Nicol Jarvie, I would imagine. If he's a pacifist, he's not very fiery. He's like a lemon.
Unlike the Highlander.
Unlike the Highlander. Oh! It took me a minute. I was like...
He was very fiery.
I laughed
He was
before
on fire.
understood the joke, but I understand now.
He was like a lemon. Maybe. A bit painty as well.
A bit painty.
Dusty paint, powder paint.
Be good in a hot toddy. That.
It would be very good in a hot
It's
toddy.
lemon.
That is like ideal hot toddy whiskey.
Like that. That's interesting. And really cool to try because it's just whiskies that have been in a bottle for decades, which is very cool.
Yeah,
Love
it's like
that.
a little taste of the past.
Yeah.
The second one we tried is a little bit harder to tell you about.
Cause the label was all.
We'll show you a picture.
Yep.
But yeah, the label was all scraped off. Well, it had come off.
So Justine had some information, but not a huge amount.
Yeah, so we do know it was called Speyside, and it is a blend, and it was from a company established in 1856.
Yep.
Is that right?
1864, I think. Or you maybe
Yeah, well done. 1864.
Good with dates.
Good with
The
dates.
years.
And we know that the label had a horse on it.
Yep.
But that's kind of all we know, and we think it was also from the 70s, this one as well, wasn't it?
I can't remember if it was 70s or 80s, she said. If you know anything about the bottle, if you can identify it, please let us know. That would be really cool.
That smells a lot flatter.
Flatter, it
A lot more
smells
honeyed.
more sherry for me.
Yeah, sweeter. Or
Sweeter.
sweeter in a lower down way.
Yes, not as...
It's not as high and
No
ethery.
citrus, I'm
No
finding
citrus.
no citrus.
Honey.
Cherry berry. Ooh. Cherry berry?
Cherry berry. Yeah, I think so. A little Bakewell tart.
Yes, marzipan and some cherries, yep, and a wee biscuity.
And almond flour.
Almond. Yep.
Flour. Almond flour.
Almond.
So we're gonna have to have almonds involved next.
Almonds.
Almonds. So instead of cheers / almonds. Almonds.
I don't like that one as much.
I liked that more initially, and then it's got more of a roughness at the end.
Caught me.
Yeah, it's just, even in your mouth, it just kind of, it switches, or it changes gradually, but in a short space of time.
Yeah.
To like a hot orange peel.
Yep. It's less, it's shorter finish, that one for me.
And then it's gone, but it's like hot too quickly.
It leaves you with the alcohol rather than the nice
rather than
flavour.
anything else. Yep, definitely.
A nice first taste though, that's quite floral.
And like
As well
orange
as-
blossom, quite watery.
Quite Speyside, really.
Yeah, well, we know that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's about the only thing we know
But
about.
quite classically like a watery kind of Speyside.
But, so I think the whole thing about blends from days gone by, from like the 70s and things, was there weren't as many people bottling single malts. So the blends had a higher malt content. So these ones do, like if I was given these blind, I don't know if I would say necessarily that they were blend.
Yeah.
There's not as much grain in there, so
No.
yeah. They are all light and easy drinking, but...
And it'll be much older malts as well that'll be in there.
Yeah,
'cause,
probably, yeah.
there was not the need for that for single malts as much.
There's a wee slight mentholy minty bit in there too.
Fresh. Nice.
Yeah, less keen on that one though. Honey for me, it's a bit honey.
I prefer the first one
I
for
prefer
sure.
the first. Yep.
I find that's got slightly less flavour.
Now,
thank you. Number 3.
Number 3 is VAT 69.
So this is a cool bottle with lots of history and one you can still get now.
Yeah.
But not the same one. Justine had said there was like, so they're not the first bottlings that came out and there was different batches, or there's a particular batch or
and then
two.
everyone really liked the VAT 69, so that's the one.
And you couldn't, and did she think this was part, no, not of the really sherried. I think there was ones that were much more sherried than others,
really?
like first fill sherry ones. It's a very well known blend.
Yes.
And it's one that was known internationally.
Yeah.
And we get asked for it still, and I think one that shipped more so internationally than other blends.
Yeah. And
like in Spain, I think it was quite popular in Spain.
I think so, yeah. And this one, we think was probably one of the, like, not as early ones. This is one of the later ones, so maybe 80s or 90s probably, I think she reckoned. Very sherried.
Very sherried.
Very sherried, but quite...
Sweet.
Sweet and not too richly sherried.
Nope.
More of like a straightforward sherry, does that make sense?
Straight down the middle.
Wee leathery bit though from the sherry.
Wee leathery bit. Flange.
Flange.
Almonds.
Almonds.
That's got the musk, but it's quite a well integrated musk for me.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not all
I wonder
musk.
what that musk is. Do you think that is from...
The musky flavour, I don't know.
Yeah, do you think that's from being in a bottle for a long time? Or do you think that is something that was more of a characteristic of whiskey back in the day?
We should look that up, because I find that you do find that much more in older bottles, that wee
Yeah,
hint of
yeah,
musk that I don't really like. That musk though is quite, that musk is at the beginning of the taste rather than at the end, and usually I find the musk is at the end and lingers.
Oh, I get it more in the smell than anything else.
But it's an amount of musk that I'm fine with.
It's like a kind of slightly spiky musk.
Yeah, yeah.
Does that make sense? Like it's
not
pointed
smooth
like
at
that.
all. It's quite a
Yeah.
very pleasant. Very pleasant. Good.
I can see why that was a popular whiskey that people sought out.
Yep, yep.
And the final one we got to try was a proper treat.
This was my favourite, I remember.
I found those ones a lot more interesting, I think. Just because they're kind of historic bottles. This also is.
Yes.
But this is a Glenmorangie 18-year-old.
From the 1980s,
Yeah,
was it?
yeah.
Oh, it's so rich.
Oh, there's a weird smell in that though.
There is. There's something almost a bit cheesy. I feel like I want to smell
I was going to say tomato ketchup.
Oh.
Which was on your face. Yep, there's a... Oh yeah, there's a cheesy, a musty cheesy...
Yeah.
No, brown sauce or
Brown
tomato
sauce?
ketchup. Yeah, yeah. Do you know, I think I might have said that at the time.
Which I've not... I don't remember smelling at the time.
I think I do remember that.
One of my noses is blocked.
It reminds me of the smell in Tobermory's Tun Room.
That's so specific.
That
yes.
hearty, yeasty, like hearty like soup.
Yeah,
Like a tinned soup, like a really old-fashioned tinned soup.
And this 40 or 43 I think as well, it was not 46.
Flange. I nearly dropped that.
Oh!
This is the only tiny little pickle we've got
I know,
left.
that's it, it's empty now. Wee musky bit in that as well, actually. Oh,
There's a lovely bit right in the middle. It just feels so rich and it just sits on your tongue and it just fizzles away and then it fades away and it tastes like garden.
Quite planty.
Quite planty, quite earthy, woody.
Really sweet though.
A wee bit metallic as well. Like the can the soup came out of.
And the musky bit there, it's there.
Yeah.
I remembered liking that slightly more in the day, but I still really like it. It's rich and interesting.
Right, what's your favourite out of all of those?
That's quite hard because I did say the Glenmorangie 18.
I didn't on the day.
What are you thinking, you're going back to that?
No.
Oh.
I think I'd like it even less than I did on the
Really?
day now, yeah. I think I'm between the Bailie Nicol Jarvie and the VAT 69.
I think I preferred... I liked them all, but I think 1 and 4 Bailie Nicol and Glenmorangie.
I'm going for 1 and 3 Bailie Nicol and the VAT 69.
Which was nice.
I think then the Bailie Nicol Jarvie wins.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, quite unusual. Limey.
Yeah, limey, lemony, light, sparkly.
And I like a story.
Yeah,
a story does
love
buy
a story.
It. So.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. And yeah, you should go and check out Kask Whiskies.
Definitely, you can follow her on Instagram, and you can also see if she's got any tastings coming up. I think she does mostly kind of industry things at the moment, but if you see one to book onto, then you definitely should.
Definitely
so
recommend.
Knowledgeable, and it was a great, walking is a great way to start the day, then drinking is a nice way to finish the day. It's great, it's just really good fun.
So yeah, subscribe down here for more like this, and join us again next time. Slange.
Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed our video. If you did, please give it a like and a subscribe. And you can follow us on social media at The Grail Tastings. See you next time. Slange.
I feel like, did we know more about that at the time?
Oh, I'm sure I knew more about all of these at the time. It's like the first time I'm hearing of them.